And Nori is without a doubt, one of the most vicious women that I have ever come across. When women are exceptionally vile, you do have to charge them. It's not in women to be so brutal. When she came out of there, she didn't tell me for 3 months, because of course I had spoken out. And when I had got back to England, my laptop got stolen and my phone. Now my phone, it was a Sony, and my phone actually had a tracking thing. So I immediately contacted them and said, my phone's been stolen and my laptop, can you please contact me? And they didn't contact me back. I went to the police station 3 times in Brighton, didn't do a thing. Green runs that town. Brighton used to be a beautiful town, and it's just one big drug fuck fest. It's horrible. It's horrible. And so there was hits on both sides. So she comes out, but she doesn't tell me all these things have happened. But she watches a movie, and then she says to me, she says, you used to, it was Vivian Leigh, and she watches a couple of movies, Vivian Leigh and Grace Kelly, and she says to me, you used to look like that. And it was like, and you've lost your looks now. Now, I do have certain looks that people seem to like, but in my family, that never discussed, because I have a heart problem. And when you have a real health issue, it's not major, but I just can't do certain things, and I have to look after myself. And when my mother has only ever in her whole life said, sorry. Did you know that coughing is anger? My mother's only ever said whether I looked, she would say, you look tired. And, it's a big ask to look like Grace Kelly, who's American and blonde, and Vivian Leigh, who was MK Ultra and red hair, MK Ultra victim, and, and dark hair, and from the 40s. She also said I had to give up my work, all of it. I've actually done 5 brands. There's very few people out there that have done 5 brands. Normally, you'll be lucky if you get 1. Well, I've done 5, and good ones too. And clearly that's been targeted. Or not mentioned. That's always a sign of the troll. It's like, well, you can talk about it, that I had to give up my work, and basically, obviously very angry here. Basically, just give up my whole life. Now, this is a woman that, and that she couldn't go on the computer anymore. This is a woman that we would speak probably courtesy of Facebook. We would speak probably 2 times a day, because I'm in England, she's in Australia, and when I was in America it was the same. I don't have brothers and sisters, I don't have children, excuse me. My mother's, there's no husband, so I am her world, and she is my world. And so any connection was the most important thing to us. Now she was coming back, so goes through this horrendous treatment. The doctor then completely over drugs her. In that time, I'm ringing around the hospital, I'm ringing around doctors, I'm ringing around the Launceston Legal Aid. Each and every one of them treated me as though A, I was crazy, B, I was a 12-year-old, and C, just horribly dismissive. Now, for me, a lot of now my family, I actually have in Australia, have 5 uncles that were police, and so the Weinstein and the Maxwell and all of these things that you hear about actually all could have been stopped at least 20 years ago. And so for me, the Australian accent, it traumatizes me. So, and I would say to my mum, I can't keep ringing you. I can't keep listening to the Australian accent. I need to move on. I need to move on. I also, you need to know that I actually went to Canada, and I spoke about the Gelbellies. They are a criminal lawyer family, and they're the ones behind the drugs that have completely brutalised Australia. There was, you know, there's this horrible lunch that I got invited to, which I should never have been invited to, and I should never, ever, ever. I just don't even want to talk about it. But I can assure you that they are absolutely a wretched family. Now, I spoke about, so all these things that I'm speaking about, I actually spoke about in Canada, and where I was a refugee. And I spoke out about all this. And this is why, right from the beginning, I have said my mother is in danger. I spoke out, and every single person patted me on the head and was like, there, you're a child. No, I'm an adult. And this is what adults do. If a teenager goes in and saves a child, well, imagine what she does as an adult. And this Commonwealth is what is so disgusting. This is how you repay me. And so so I'm ringing round. They're treating me like I'm an idiot. One woman in the who picked up the phone in the Launceston Legal Aid, I mean, she was just vicious to me. One night I stayed up until 3 o'clock in the morning because I was really worried about Mum, and I rang, and Nori was in the room, and I was, Mum, let me speak to Nori, and she wouldn't come to the phone. Well, of course she wouldn't come to the phone, and then rush Mum out the door. Well, I in turn then rang up Legal Aid to say, don't stop my mum, call the police and stop my mum from going to that doctor. And she did nothing, and in fact was incredibly spiteful to me. And this is what is unforgivable, is all the people that I've had to contact, all with their Australian accent, all like, oh yeah, white supremacy. Like, you need to breed out. So she keeps going back to the doctor. They're over-drugging her. She's not doing the housework. It's all the things that they target you with, and throughout the whole time I'm contacting them, please contact me back. As it under the Commonwealth, you should have provided all the countries video access, so when mothers go to the doctors, their family overseas can be in the consultation room. Because if I was there or she was here, that's what would happen. And for 2 years I've been saying this, and that's your job to think of these things. Honestly, the coldness. What are we, German? For 2 years I've been saying there needs to be a department that you can ring up immediately before a guardianship hearing is that you ring up and you say, do we want your parents back? I was contacting you, the Australian government, the English government, the Canadian government, the French government. My mum's even got an FBI file. I've done the Home Office. You know, where Elliot, you know, I wrote this web page, and I always know when it's the mob, right? Because they always do these code adjectives, and I'm supposed to go, oh, you're so wonderful, you're so great, you're looking after things. The mob, the cult, the FIB, Fastest International Bureau, the lie, the fib. Their mentality is very animalistic, and their version of life is brutal. Their version of life is kind of prison mentality. Well, we've got to put a roof over your head, and we're giving you gruel. No. So they've completely overdrugged her. She goes back to the doctor with a witness and says, please take me off. He then says 2 weeks. Well, in week 6 she goes crazy, completely crazy, because she's on these drugs that are so that are just making her